All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club, and happy Friday, everybody. As always, hope you guys are having an absolutely fantastic day. It is a little rainy here in Seattle, but that is okay because it's just May. Rain usually, or the sun usually starts to permanently set in June, which is the time that everybody should be coming up to Seattle. It's the best place during the summer. So if you've ever thought about it, this is a commercial for Seattle right here. If you ever thought about it, now's the time to come. Today is a good day because we got Adonis Lockett with us on the podcast. He's done 120 flips, he has 60 rentals, 3 apartment complexes. He does hard money lending. He has an education platform. His company is LNH Capital and Smart Money Blueprint. A lot of experience to go into here. So Adonis, thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. I told you before we got on here, we always like to start with stories and hear how people got to where they are today. So why don't you take us to the beginning of your story in real estate and just tell us how you got started?
I'm the classic example of a guy who had a good, liked what I did at work, but my boss made me hate my job. And one day, my background is electrical mechanical engineering. I was a rocket propulsion test engineer for Lockheed Martin. And I had the coolest job. I get to go to work every day, test missiles in the rocket propulsion system, go to New Mexico, and then blow stuff up. I had the coolest job, right? And one day I'm in the test lab. My boss walked in, and I don't know who pissed in his Cheerios that morning, but and we're sitting down in front of my test team is me and 5 others, and he's literally hovering over me, yelling at me in front of the test team. It was the level, the boundaries that were crossed, professionally and personally. And in that moment, I was like, while he's yelling at me, I'm like, I'm going to choke him. I made the
This is the
decision
end.
to choke my boss. And as I was weighing it out, I was like, all right, check it out. If I choke him, I'm obviously going to get fired. I'm going to have charges pressed. I'm going to definitely lose my security clearance. The upside, I'll be a legend at Lockheed Martin as the guy that officially choked his boss. Figured that probably wasn't the best way to go about things. So I got into real estate probably not even 3 months later, flipped a house in 62 days, made more in 62 days than what I net in a year as an engineer. And I put my notice in maybe about a month and a half, 2 months later. And that was now 13, 14 years ago.
Damn, man, right on. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you didn't end up choking your boss out. Then you wouldn't be here on the show. So you made the right decision at that point. Yeah, it is. If having a bad boss, I worked corporate until my late 20s actually, and having a bad boss can definitely sour the experience. Which is why a lot of us, get into real estate. We have that experience, and we're like, I don't want to have to go through that again. And so then we find our way into real estate. It's funny.
Exactly.
The flip was actually, that was the first thing that kind of got me here too, is like, I saw a check. It was 87. I think it was 87,000, something like that for our first flip that we did. And I was like, holy shit, that's the most I've ever seen in one check. So this is what I'm doing.
Right.
So after that, you did that first flip, you got that big check, you were sold. But since then you have a lot more experience. You have 60 rentals, 120 flips, 3 apartment complexes. How did your career kind of evolve after that point?
So the irony is that because that first deal gave me the confidence that if I was able to do that part-time, then imagine what I could do full-time. The problem with my story is that it gave me a false sense of security of how successful that doing a real estate transaction actually is. And most of us will know that that's not the rule, that's the exception. I had the unfortunate luck of that being my first deal, which made me think that was the rule. And what I've learned is that because of how challenging it actually is, that I was 4 or 5 years flipping houses. At one point I was 50, 60 houses flipped, and at house number 61, 60 days later, I was broke. And I was like, so everyone loved that Adon, flipping houses, I'm the big real estate guy. And at month 3, I'm flat broke. And I was like, all right, this ain't it. So in the interim, I realized that in addition to flipping houses, we need to have money coming in, but I didn't want to work part-time and flip part-time. So I said, hey, why don't I start building verticals in my flipping business? So one thing I started doing was doing credit repair. And at the time, 2011, 12, everyone had bad credit. So I started doing credit repair, and then I started doing credit repair more focused on getting them approved to buy a house. time, I was dating the lady I was dating at the time was a loan officer. So we said, hey, I'll flip house, I'll do the houses, fix the credit, you do the loan. It was a match made in heaven, made perfect sense. As I realized that, I would start fixing 10 people's credit, not only selling one house. I'm watching money walk out the door as I'm referring people over to a real estate agent. I say, hey, why not open a real estate brokerage? Now I can make money every time, every house I don't sell, I can at least make money as the agent. So I created a real estate brokerage, then business kicked up. I got real good at flipping houses, was buying from wholesalers. Wholesalers started taking all the meat off the bone. They were really cannibalizing all the equity in the deal. So I said, hey, let me start sourcing my own deals. Got real good at sourcing my own deals to the point where I couldn't buy most of the deals that I was actually securing. So what do I do with these deals? Do I just let them go? No, I started wholesaling. So all these things are working, and I'm like, man, I got real good at finding deals myself. Wanted to make money on the deals I wasn't going to pursue. Started wholesaling. Realized that as I'm wholesaling, I'm turning deals over by the buyers, lenders weren't performing. I started referring them over to my lender that funded all of my deals. Turns out he was willing to pay me, 1, 2% of each deal for every customer I referred. I said, holy crap. So now I have a new revenue model where I'm going to wholesale deals and refer people over to a lender and make a percent. I realized that that could operate as a standalone business. Once I started making that a standalone function, I realized that, man, I'm not limited to just where I am. I can do this nationwide, right? I can connect with lenders in different states, find buyers. And at the time, this was when Craigslist was still credible. I would post, I'm a hard money lender in your city or state. I would contact the local lender. I would make 1 to 2% on referring to deals. And I did that for 4 or 5 years. And then once I understood how the money worked, I was like, okay, I don't want to broker. I need to become a lender. Became a direct lender, did that for 4 or 5 years, understood how the money works behind the direct lender scene. And then a year, almost 2 years ago, I launched my fund where I'm currently raising $100 million. And I am now, I'm a national direct hard money lender, my own fund. So I am a private equity fund. And I just, all these verticals didn't come from my innovation. It came because it was so blatant in my face that it's like, it just makes sense to implement these verticals. I didn't really go out and sit back and like, man, I got to figure this out. It was just in my face. And it just made sense to capitalize on it. And the thing that I did was I made it a point to put structure and infrastructure and people in place to actually mold that into a business unit. A couple of my buddies through the years saw me grow this, reached out and was like, hey, man, I want to learn real estate investing. Can you teach me? I said, I'll teach you under one condition. You operate in your city and state under my company brand. You help me grow my company. I'll teach you all parts of the game and I'll give you every resource that I have. That's actually how I expanded into 5 states in 1 year. Once one of my fraternity brothers heard about it, another one called like, hey man, I heard that you gave so and so the game and now he's out there doing real estate. I need to do the same. Gave him the same spiel every 2 months for a year. A new office popped up: Atlanta, Florida, Charlotte, DC, New York, all in a 12-month span, 5 offices. And that's
Nice.
how I grew to a national presence. Literally, I just took what I did in Dallas, duplicated it in LA to know that I can duplicate it, and then did it 5 more times. And in a year and a half, I was the 7 offices that ultimately now I'm down to 11 locations in 9 states. So that's how everything just grew organically, just that way.
Nice. Yeah, I love that trajectory because you would run into a problem and then you'd solve the problem by building a business around it. And
Right.
that is the natural way to grow a business is you choose a niche, you choose something to do. Real estate, it sounded like you started out in the loan side of things, or flipping houses really is where you started.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you ran into the problem of lending, you ran into the problem of finding deals, and after every single problem was solved, you just stood that up as its own business. Love to hear
Exactly.
that. Love to see the success that you guys have seen up to this point. You've kind of gone into a bunch of different aspects of real estate that we can talk more about. So I guess I'll just pick one out of the blue here. You mentioned uh, at one point you started connecting lenders or connecting flippers with lenders, and then you took a cut of that. Explain a little bit more about that side of the business. Did you have to have a broker's license or what kind of license would you need? Some kind of license to do that, or are you literally just taking a referral fee from these lenders?
So the cool thing about brokering hard money loans is that you do not need to be licensed, which is why it was so easy to grow in so many states. Now, let me pause and say there are certain states that you need to be licensed to have your name on the paperwork at closing, but most states in the US do not require you to be licensed to broker a private or hard money loan. So it was a business model that just made too much sense
Mm.
that allowed me to be really successful in a short period of time. And I hate to say it, with almost very little effort. And it became so second nature to me that I actually created an education. So I originally created, when I was hiring people in all these different markets, like all the strategies that I use, I was saying the same thing over and over and over again. So I said, hey, let me just standardize what I'm saying. I'm gonna put it on video, and I'm going to train my sales agents. As I started putting it on video, I realized, man, I'm giving them so much information. I could probably make this an education course, because what I realized in brokering money was that, one, wholesaling is not the easiest way to get into real estate investing. Brokering hard money is. Wholesaling, everyone says wholesaling is the easiest because it's a lower barrier of entry financially. Wholesaling is grueling, time wise, effort wise, it is brutal, right? And that's the whole thing, because it just requires so little money to do it.
And
But the
I
effort,
wouldn't even say it requires little money because you can do it with little money, but the amount of time that you have to put into it in order
it's
to do it with
brutal,
little money is just it's not worth it. The real way
right?
to do wholesaling is to put a lot of money into marketing, and
Right. The
that is
marketing, the
not free.
flyers,
Yeah.
the lead captures, the callback. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Relatively speaking, everyone thinks that wholesaling, but the easiest way to get into real estate investing is actually by brokering money. One, because you learn the business more aggressively if you're the person that's providing the money, or at least in the broker side, facilitating the money. From the borrower, you learn the benefits of the deal, all the pros that come with the deal, right? How the deal is structured, why they're doing it, etc. From the lender, who has the most to lose, who is heavily in the risk mitigation, you learn all the risk associated with the deal. You learn why the economics aren't good, why the deal becomes risky, why this, and this make the deal that on paper looks good, in actuality, not good. So you're learning the business from both perspectives. So when you take a step back, you can not only highlight the pros of the deal, you can intimately talk to the cons. So not only do you learn the business, it does not cost you $1 to broker a hard money loan. You don't walk houses, you don't sign contracts, you don't put up earnest, you don't put up options, you don't deal with emotional sellers. There is so many things that you don't have to deal with, that you can literally get on the phone. I can say, hey, Gabe, are you looking for, you're an investor? Yeah, man, my hard money lender, he's great, 100% financing. Hell, connect me. Absolutely. Hey, hard money lender, I'm about to connect you with Gabe. Gabe calls, hey, how much, when y'all close the deal, pay me 1 point. I make the introduction. He calls me 2 weeks later. I get paid 1 point. You close a $400,000 deal. He cuts me a $4,000 check. I didn't negotiate. I didn't review your contract. I didn't do any of that stuff. I made an introduction, facilitated the arrangement with the lender, and I got paid. And I can now imagine if I $4,000 just with you. Now I do that 3 times, 5 times, 10 times. That's what the Smart Money Blueprint does. And in that, if I'm paying attention, I'll see the email exchanges, I'll listen in on the calls. And for you who've done 50 deals, I'll understand why each deal is a good deal from your perspective. I'll understand why the deal has risk from the lender's perspective. So not only am I making money, I'm learning the business, and it does not cost me a thing. And I can do that as aggressively as I can get my message out, and I can accommodate making those introductions.
Nice, man. Well, you sold me. I love it. Let's I always like to go into the nitty-gritty details whenever anybody describes a process in real estate, because that's really what people need to understand how to get started in something like this. So
Right.
what you're essentially talking about is just bringing two people together, and being the middleman inside of it. So you go out there, you find people who are looking to do flips, and then you bring them over to the people who have the money, who are looking to lend money. So what are, each of them is essentially a marketing task. So what are the ways that you go about finding the flippers, and then what are the ways that you go about finding the lenders, and how do you connect them?
Sure. So first thing I do is I make it a point to, whenever I'm breaking into a new city, first thing I do is I'll do the standard Google. We'll Google hard money lender, comma city state, right? Then what I'll do is I'll go to two or three network real estate networking events, and I'll shop around and see who's the guys doing real volume, and then I'll inquire, hey man, what lender do you use that you're doing, non-invasive, more just kind of inquiry, like, man, that's dope, da 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 da. So what I'll do is I'll go publicly with my search, and then I'll work a few rooms to figure out, how many times I'll start hearing the same names, right? And once I hear a name 3 times in some compressed period of time, then I know that, okay, they got either some great marketing going or they got a great product going where they're in multiple different venues, saying people are mentioning their same name. So then what I'll do is I'll contact each lender, get a rundown of what it is that they do, and I'll have a little list that says this lender likes fix and flips, this lender likes new construction, etc. So now I know who does what. In that same conversation, I asked them, hey, if I was going to bring you a few borrowers, would you be okay me charging a fee? We'll work out what exactly that looks like, how I'm protected, how all of that will work. So the next time I walk out to an investment room, a real estate investment, I'm now introducing myself as capital provider.
Mm.
The one thing about being offering money to real estate investors, in my 14 years, I have never once sold somebody on the loan. Think about this. Hey, man, I loaned money to real estate investors to flip houses. Gabe, what would be your natural next question?
How much does it cost?
Exactly. You are now a lead.
Yeah.
You feel me? And just, hey, you know what, Gabe? Let's me and you talk later. Lead. What are your terms? Lead. Hey, real estate agent, the investor that you work with, send them over to me and I'm gonna pay you 1%. Oh, snap. Okay, great. Sales agent. Loan officer, your declined loans for these investment properties, send them over to me. I'll pay you 1%. Sales agent. Everyone I talk to is one of two things always. They're a lead or a sales agent.
There you go. I love it.
There it is.
And
That's how you build it.
everybody that comes on this podcast, you'll get the question in the end, but we always ask, shoot, I don't even remember what the question is, but the answer is always real estate is about relationships, and that's
It
100%
is.
true. It's a relationship business. And it sounds like you've really dialed that into to perfection. You understand real estate is relationships, and when you connect people, you make money work, and and a little bit will always come back to you if you benefit somebody else in the relationship game. All right.
Right.
So I'm going to take that opportunity. As I mentioned, this is a short podcast, so I do want to talk a little bit about your portfolio. It sounds like you've done flips, you've done rentals, apartment complexes. So what are you looking for these days? And then what do you see? What is your crystal ball tell you about the areas that you're in and about the market in the next couple of years?
So what I look for right now, believe it or not, I don't look for real estate in areas. I look for real estate in economics, right? I don't buy properties in areas that I like. I buy properties with the way the economics shake down that allows me to get into a deal and exit a deal with me not only getting 100% of my money back for a rental property, but also cashing out 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 at a time. My last maybe 30 houses, I think I won't do a deal where I don't get 100% of my money back and cash out at least 30, $40,000. So when I start buying, I haven't in the last maybe 6 years, in the last 80 some houses I bought, I've only sold 2 of them. And that's just because the when the rates went up, the rents didn't pencil. Beyond that, though, I mean, I am the textbook definition of a disciplined investor, right? There's a house in the neighborhood. Hell, it could be the house next door to my personal residence. If the economics don't work, even by a slight margin, it's a hard no,
Yeah.
right? And that's what allowed me to be successful. So when people ask what am I looking for, my first answer is always the economics that fit my criteria that allows me to execute walking away with 100% of my money plus some minimum amount of cash out so that I can buy the next house for my same initial investment. After I got the rhythm of that, I bought maybe 18 houses with the same $11,000.
Eleven thousand
You're right.
dollars. Where are you buying these houses?
So, and mind you, when you understand, I have a very simple philosophy. When you understand the money, you understand the business. And when you understand the business,
Yeah.
you know how to manipulate the money to make it work for you. So what I was doing is I found the lender that offered 100% financing. He was charging
Mm,
me 4 points of 14%. It's like, holy shit, that is expensive as hell. Is it? I come to the table with $7,000 in closing costs as opposed to 30,000 down plus $7,000 in closing costs. So for me, paying 4 points on $180,000 or $150,000 purchase, you know, while I have no money down, I'm refinancing it. I'm buying it at 70% ARV, refinancing it at 80% of ARV. I'm taking houses, that are 2 beds, 1 baths, 1 car garage, 2 car garages, and I'm making them 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, 0 car garages. So now I'm increasing the size of the house 50%. So
mm,
that 200 ARV that I initially bought the house on has a 300K ARV.
mm.
So now when I refinance, I'm not refinancing all 80% off of 200K. I'm refinancing 80% off of 300K. So I'm cashing out $50,000, getting my just closing costs back, plus, 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 plus. So now I'm taking that same $8,000, 10,000, 12,000, whatever it is, and I'm paying 4 points and 14% again. And I'm just doing it over and over and over again. So people, the first time, every time I say I'm paying 4 points and 14%, now this is also now 4 or 5 years ago. First response is, damn, 14 and 4. I'm like, you're missing it. I said I'm paying 4 points and 14% with zero down on a $130,000 purchase. And that's the problem with most people. The whole thing about, well, I would never pay 4 points. And that's the reason why you got 10 and I have 100. You follow me? You get rid of, stop pocket watching who's coming up and start figuring out and start understanding how the value benefits you. Because every time I used to say 4 points, everyone be blown away. And then I would pull up a sheet that says, that same lender that you're using that you acquired 10%, I closed for 7,000, you closed for 36,000.
Yep.
Where's the better economics?
Yeah. Yeah. It all matters. Money out of pocket is really what matters, especially when you're talking
Exactly.
about the return on the investment. If you're only putting
Exactly.
7,000 in, it's pretty easy to get over 100% return on that 7,000.
Exactly.
All right.
And it also allows you to do volume. So the same $30,000 that one person is tying up one deal with, I'm doing 3 or 4.
Yep. Do you still see people, interest rates have kind of skyrocketed since 2000. What did you say that was 2020, 2021 that you
Interest rates went up in 22.
22, right? Are you still seeing people doing 100% down or 100% financing, or is that kind of
Eh,
um,
it's a lot leaner nowadays. Mind you, I'm in Texas.
mm,
Texas is its own beast. And for some reason, Texas just refuses to conform with the rest of the natural country. Um, but in Texas, 100% financing is still a big thing. And that's the thing. Even in other cities, finding private individuals who are loaning money out of their 401k, you will find the one that will want you to put 10, 15% down the first deal or two. By the time you make it to deal 3, 4, or 5 and you've gained trust, they'll start doing 100%. Well, and that's the thing that, Gabe, what you mentioned. Doing 100% down with a new relationship, it's not that common. After deal 3 or 4, when people know that you can perform and they see that this is long term, they can start charging you more, but making you put down less. They'll do 100% because you have a relationship, you've proven your ability. But what the problem with most people is that they want to start at 100% instead of earn it. And today is a microwave society where I want it now. I've heard Adonis doing it. I want 100% financing, but they don't know that Adonis had to do 15 deals before I started getting 100% financing. So lenders are tightening it up, right? Because it is a little bit tougher to move the properties for sale. But from the rental standpoint, the lending industry has loosened their belt on the requirements to refinance into an investor DSCR loan. 2 years ago, it was a 1.2 requirement on the DSCR. Right now, the same backers that were enforcing 1.2, I'm selling notes with a zero point 0.8 DSCR. So the industry has relaxed to accommodate, what is now the norm of 7.5% at par.
interesting? Zero point 0.8 DSCR. I don't think I'd ever take that kind of loan. That sounds like I
Well,
like
that,
higher DSCR requirements because then I know that there's going to be more cash flow.
but
Um,
here's the difference. But here's the difference, though, right? What about the investors where there are certain markets where no matter how well you buy, you're just not getting 1.2,
right.
right?
Oh, right. Yeah. If you're talking single family, I think I was coming from a commercial perspective.
The single
Um,
family,
yeah, that makes sense.
right?
Got it.
So if you haven't, got with the guys, and the thing is, it's a model that makes sense for the lenders because you're in a 30-year loan. At some point, you can keep increasing rents,
Yeah,
right?
over 30 years for
So
sure.
you know what I mean? Like it'll balance out at some point.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, it sounds like you have gotten the strategy around finances, or financing rather, down
Right.
to a science in real estate. So that is awesome to hear. And for everybody who wants to know a little bit more, he does have his own education platform. Can you go into a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so essentially, I teach people exactly what we just talked about: how to get into real estate investing, brokering hard money loans, how to create a revenue. If you're already in real estate investing as an investor, wholesaler, real estate agent, loan officer, I teach you how to create a vertical brokering hard money by not deviating from what you're currently doing in real estate investing. The education series is designed for any and everybody, and the way we teach real estate agents is very different than the way we teach people new to the business, very different than the way we teach loan officers. Smart Money Blueprint teaches you how to get into real estate investing, brokering hard money loans, teaches you how to make a revenue vertical if you're already in the space. And essentially, it is the highest return on your time with the lowest cost. And if you do it properly, it'll make more than any agent commission, loan officer commission, flip wholesale deals that you do if you run it properly in volume with the proper infrastructure in place. Smartmoneyblueprint.com teaches you exactly how to do that.
Perfect. Sweet. I'm going to take that opportunity to move us on to the quick question round. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. It starts with books or any form of education. Could be movies, could be, you name it, YouTube shows. I just need two recommendations. Give me one for general life wisdom and then one for real estate.
One for general life wisdom is going to be extreme ownership,
By
right?
Jocko, right?
Yep, exactly right. That book changed my entire perspective on how I handle past responsibilities and most importantly, accountability.
Yeah. I've been meaning to pick that one up. I've heard it, recommended a few times. It sounds great. I just haven't gotten to it. So that'll be the
Well, you're
next one on
doing
my
yourself a
list.
disservice. Make that the very next book that you pick up.
Sounds good.
All
All
right.
right, one for real estate.
One for real estate. I would say $1 million leads.
$1 million leads. I haven't heard about that one. I'll have to check that one out. Who's that by?
Pulling it up right now. So I am the worst at citing the authors. I've
It's
read
all good.
I've listened to that book 3 times back to back, and I'm pulling it up right now, my Audible. Um, essentially this book tells you how to properly structure like a lead gen business. $100 million leads. I'm sorry, $100 million leads
100 million.
by
Is that's Alex Hermosi,
Alex
right?
Hormozy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly
yeah.
right.
I
Yeah.
was like, somebody
Uh,
made $1 million lead book. That's funny.
no, $100 million leads by Alex.
Yeah,
I've listened to that book back to back to back.
yeah,
And what I've learned in that book was that a single word will be the reason why you get 10 customers or 1,000 customers. A
yeah.
single phrase, the way it's presented, removing and the or adding a the to, I mean, it was so almost like it was so over the top in simplicity, but the results were so overt that it was mind-boggling to hear. So I definitely recommend that one for anyone that's in the business.
Yeah. Yeah, I did read that book. That Alex Ramosi, I like him as an author. He's really interesting as a character as well. And so
I
good
like him. I
recommendation.
thought every morning, every when I open up my social media, I see him and then I listen to a quote. He always got some very interesting things to say.
Yeah. All right. Next question is for your younger self. So let's go to the Adonis who was just getting started way back when he got that first check from his first flip.
Right.
He was looking at it like, oh my God, this is a lot of money. Go back to him, look him in the eye, give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Get a mentor. I
Absolutely.
had I was plagued with being smart, a people person, a good salesman, in a deal that was a home run deal that was the exception, not the rule. And my arrogance led me to believe that I can figure it all out as I go. And year after year, people tell me get a mentor. I'm like, dude, do you not see how I'm moving? People love me, blah, blah, blah. And what I realized was that everything that I built could have been built in half the time and twice the performance if I didn't have to trial and error through every single thing. I am 39 years old right now. And you know when the first time I asked for a mentor was? At
How old?
6 months ago.
All right. So
Right.
39. Damn. All right.
39. I'm 39 years old, walking around asking a guy, can I get you coffee and can I carry your bags? Mind you, I have 26 employees. And I'm asking the next person, can I get you coffee and carrying your bags? And then coming back to my office, driving a 26 employee shop just in my Dallas office with a total of like 40 something employees, explaining to them that I asked someone, can I get them coffee and carry their bags? That what I've learned was that by the time I decided that, man, I really should have got a mentor, it was like early 30s. And I was like, man, I felt like I just missed the boat. And I convinced myself for 5 or 6 years that I missed the boat. Like, it'd be embarrassing for me 10 years in the business, mid 30s, asking for a mentor. What I realized, it was embarrassing for me this much in the business, not having a mentor.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. So many people come on this podcast and say, I ask, what is the biggest thing that you can do to have an impact on your business? And everybody says mentorship. Having
Yep.
somebody who's a couple steps ahead, who can show you to find those shortcuts. Not really
Yep.
shortcuts, but just the appropriate way to do the thing that you're trying to do. If somebody's already done it, I guarantee they know ways that you just don't know. You may think you
Right.
know, but you won't really understand until you actually go through the process. So
Right.
yeah, finding a mentor, super important. For people out there, maybe they're in your shoes, maybe they're earlier in their career and they think they want to start having a mentor. How would you recommend going about finding a mentor?
If you're interested in like changing, getting into something different, start with visiting smartmoneyblueprint.com. No, and seriously, I would say, first of all, um, do not hesitate in investing into your education. A lot of people want something for free. And what I realize is that, think about what a mentor is giving up by mentoring you, right? So the thing that I always tell people is that if you have someone that you want to mentor and they offer a service, a product, support them, make them mentoring you make sense, beyond them wanting to do it, if that makes sense, right? So
Yeah.
every week someone's reaching out asking me to mentor them. And my thing is, well, I can take time building you, or I can take time building my company. But if they're paying into my education series, that means I can accomplish both tasks, right? So it becomes mutually beneficial. So I always tell people, if you're going to ask someone to mentor, bring something of value to the table other than just taking what you're getting from them. Bring uh help build their business. Help, suggest something that will expand what it is they're doing or offset some of their day-to-day tasks or mundane tasks. Just do something other than take.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next question is about the US. It is a big place. There is a lot of opportunity out there. Give me the single metro you're most excited about investing in today.
Single metro, I'd say, I'm gonna say the Texas economy,
Mm,
and then I'm gonna narrow that down to Dallas.
there you go. I always felt like I've invested in Dallas myself, and I have felt over time that Dallas has been overpriced, but it just keeps growing. It's crazy. It just keeps going up.
Can I tell you a secret? It's overpriced to the uninitiated.
There you go. Uh, and I don't live in Dallas, and so I can't really, I don't have as good of opinion as people who live there like yourself. I thought that about Seattle too, and I thought that in 2018 about Seattle, and then 2019, 20, and 21 happened, and I was like, holy shit, there's
Right.
definitely room to go up here in Seattle. So, yeah, there really is. I mean, look at San Francisco. There isn't a ceiling until you hit prices like that. How about that?
Right.
All right, that leads us to the next question. This is about finding deals. It all starts with getting in contact with the seller and penning up that purchase agreement. So, what's your favorite way to generate leads and find new deals?
Um, so I mean, I have a unique approach to it. So because I am the money guy, when I meet wholesalers, I always tell them, so one, so I'm gonna answer that with two ways. My perspective is very different. So as the money guy, when I meet wholesalers, I say, hey, listen, send me your deals, and I'm going to put it out to my list of buyers in your market, or my list of buyers that I know shall work that area. And a lot of those deals will come my way, especially the newer guys. who really trying to go work volume. So they're not hardcore about. Let me not say that. I have the ability to put all of these deals in front of my investors, but then I have the opportunity to pick the deals that I specifically like and take on myself because I'm asking these wholesalers, let me be a lead gen for their business, right? That's actually one of the things I teach people in Smart Money Blueprint, right? Contact wholesalers and offer to open your network to them by having them send you deals for you to send to them. What that'll do again is it allow you to understand how or why they think this is a good deal. Start allowing you to start ask questions like, where'd you get the deal from? How'd you do it? Because for them, you're the lender. So they don't look at you as competition. So they're a little bit more open about conveying how they got a deal. So you can cherry pick on their deals. That's one way I get leads. The other part is, I hate to say it, but the old school way of flyers. If you're gonna go whole school pounding the pavement, man, that is brutal. But it still works. VAs calling. So if you want to say, hey, I don't want to do a deal with four wholesalers, I want to go direct to seller. I always tell people contact the utility company and ask them for the list of properties that haven't had the water turned on in 60 days or more. Those are usually landlords who are frustrated, who, the tenant bled them out. Contact the code compliance and ask them for single family residences that have citations for tall grass. Those are owners who are tired, stop caring about it. Contact the city and find out properties that have mechanics or liens from the city for re in a yard, tall grass. Those are owners who are just, I'm over it. Those are the best ways to figure out who the exhausted landlords who just don't want to deal with it anymore. Those will be your three strongest leads for properties because those are the ones who are motivated to just not dump money in the property anymore. So they're not hardcore about getting max dollar. They're hardcore about not spending any more money. Different motivation. That's one of your best leads.
It's funny that you mentioned the tall grass thing because um, it was like last year at some point. The guy that I have go out to one of my self storage facilities, for some reason that week he got sick or something, and he didn't cut the grass, and so it was a couple weeks in a row, I think, and I got a mailer from the city that said, this is a citation for tall grass. You have to go out there, yada yada. And literally, like a week after I got that citation, I got like 50 letters in the mail that just said, "Hey, man, I'll buy your property. I'll buy your
Right,
property."
right.
I thought it was pretty funny because it works. I
It
didn't want to
works.
sell, but I'm sure it works for somebody out there.
Exactly.
All
And
right.
that, and that's the other one more thing too, eviction court.
Yeah. Yeah, because somebody going through an eviction, the landowner, I'm sure, especially if they're new and if that's like their first, rental, they're probably at the point where they're like, "Screw this! I don't want this
Screw
property
it.
anymore." Yep.
Because not only are they paying the mortgage with no rents, they now, going through the property and seeing how beat up it is. They're like, I already lost 3, 4, 5 months of rent. Now I got to drop another several thousand. I'm good.
Yep. All right, that leads us to the last question or second last question. This one is about lessons learned. Not every deal that we get into goes the way that we expect it. A lot of times a wrench is thrown into the mix and things go a little bit sideways, but that's when we learn our biggest lessons that we can take on to the next deal. So what was a deal that went a little bit sideways for you, and then what was the biggest lesson you pulled from it?
Every relationship is only as healthy as the person involved's financial situation at that time. I've met contractors that I've done 20 of my properties 2, 3 years in, and then screwed me on property 21. And
Mm.
I'm like, dude, how does this make sense? Listen, man, money's tight, blah, 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 blah. And what I've learned from that is that every single relationship, GC, vendor, partnership is only as strong as that individual's financial situation and willingness to endure as opposed to survive.
That is a good piece of wisdom and insight. I feel like that is, we all have our breaking points, and you just have to be wary um, of people's situations. Sometimes if something happens in their life and they get into financial straits, uh, you know, they might choose different decisions than they would normally choose, and you just have to be wary about that. Especially like contractors. They've done 20
especially.
20 great deals with you. They've been perfect. Their handiwork has been great. And then deal 21, they screw you, but they might have something happen in their personal life that required a lot of money, and now they don't have any money. So you just never know.
I'll tell you this: every contractor has a shelf life. They're like milk. Every contractor has a shelf life.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Well, here's to hoping the contractors I use, you guys just keep crushing it out there. I'm rooting for you.
I didn't
Because
say, look, 10 condensed milk, got a much longer shelf life than the 14. But I have yet to be proven wrong that every contractor has a shelf life.
yeah. But that's why you really want to hold on to the ones who seem to be sticking a little bit longer, because it
Exactly.
is hard to find good contractors. And sure,
Exactly.
they and the shelf life might be when they sell their business and a new owner comes in, and they're just
Exactly.
crap. And
And
so,
shelf life does not mean it has to be a bad falling out. Have kids, move. My number one he went to politics. He was like, yeah, I'm out. So whatever the reason that the relationship dissolves, good or bad, I genuinely believe that is probably the most factual statement in this industry, with the exception of relationships rule everything.
yeah,
Bottom line.
yeah. Well, I mean, it makes sense because everything has changed, everything has an ending, and so that is the same with your contractors. I'm going to take that opportunity to direct us to the very last question. This is about your business and about how people can reach out to you. You've given us a lot to think about. I'm sure people want to get in contact with you.
Sure.
It's a two-parter. How can they find you? And then what can they expect when they reach out?
How can you find me? Social media, Facebook, well, more Instagram than Facebook. Facebook and Instagram, just my first name, last name, Adonis Lockett. On social media, I drop daily tips on what to do, how to do it, when to do it, tricks, motivational stuff. So my thing is just empowering everyone to just be the best version of themselves in the real estate business. If anyone's interested in like looking into just even hearing about the newest strategy and to get into real estate investing, smartmoneyblueprint.com. I have an intro video that for about 15 minutes, I explain what it can do for you, how it works, how this is the next big thing about to happen to the industry, and how this is going to blow any revenue that you're making, even on some of your more successful strategies. It's going to blow it out the water if you do it right. SmartMoneyBlueprint.com teaches you how to get into the business or expand your business if you're already in real estate investing. Anyone interested in getting, a hard money loan from us, lnhcapital.com. LNH, Larry Nancy Henry, capital.com. Click on apply. It's just 13 questions about you and the deal. Non-committal, we're not pulling credit, and we can issue a term sheet. And then, my thing is just not only providing a service and doing loans, but also teaching the people the best way to maximize their business and what they're trying to do. So social media, Adonis Lockett, smartmoneyblueprint.com, lnhcapital.com.
Perfect. I will put those links in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out, just click the little more in the description. It'll pull down that full description, and in there you can find Adonis's links. All right, man. That wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. For everybody who's with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, Gabe at the realestateinvestingclub.com. If you want to support the show, just give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.